my charting routine, or basically just how I approach a blank chart using my indicators. First of all, I'm starting off at the 1 week time frame and I'm defining my higher time frame market structure. As you can see, we are in a bullish environment. We've built higher highs and higher lows, and until our kilo at 74K isn't broken, the structure is bullish, right? After defining that, I'm working my way down to the 1 day time frame. As you can see, we've got a different picture right here. After SFPing that high, we've switched to a bearish market environment on the daily chart. What does it mean? Locally, you should favor shorts until that high is reclaimed. Why that high? Because it's the high that led to our lowest low. So I'm marking my lowest low as well, because that's also a magnet for price. So we are basically inside of those two highs, and until we break either one of those, the direction isn't really clear, right? But overall, locally, we are in a downtrend. So what do we want to do, or what are we going to do? We are looking for levels to short until we reclaimed that high, right? So I'm turning on my hidden liquidity indicator, and as you can see, there is an 8 week double hidden. That's really nice. I'm marking that really quick. You could obviously check the time frames, but since I've got not unlimited time for this video, I'm just using that. So what am I gonna do? I wanna look for refined entries, right? So I really want a refinable level. There's no liquidity inside. There's some liquidity inside, that's nice. There's a 1 hour, 30 minute, 45 minutes, so I'm just gonna mark those. And now we've got our first point of interest. After checking if my major POI is refinable, I'm also pulling a fib because I want to see if it matches with any fibs, right? Because that's a +1 conference as well. As you can see, it matches with the GP. That's really good. So that's our first major point of interest right here. Now what I'm gonna do now, since I've checked liquidity, I want to check supplies, right? As you can see, there are many lines on the chart, right? But locally in this range, or between this low and this high, there's only one zone that really interests me, right? And that's those higher time frame supplies. What am I going to do? I'm gonna mark it just like that. Zack. And we've got the 5 day, and then we've got the 7 day. That matches perfectly, so now I can turn them off. Then I check if the fib is matching. Yeah, it matches with the 718. So these are my major zones of interest, right? So what am I looking for? I'm looking for a short trade to target, first of all, obviously this low, because without breaking this low, we won't see lower targets or lower prices. But I also want to have a liquidity magnet, right? So what am I going to do? I'm gonna turn on my hidden liquidity indicator once again, and we can see we've got a really nice zone down here. That's obviously the level that Money Tower multiple times mentioned it multiple times. I'm gonna turn that off and obviously check if there's any fib confluence as well. I'm pulling my fib from low to high. As you can see, it matches with the 618. So that's a really nice higher time frame fib. That's not tested yet, so that's a strong POI. So now I've got my two major zones of interest where I'm looking for a short trade, and I've got a nice target. Also, this low is a magnet for price. So what could happen? We could maybe push into one of those zones, accumulate a little bit, then take this zone as if P'd, and we see a move back into the range, right? So that's basically the first trade plan. But that's just BTC, right? I want to look for confluences. So what am I going to check? I'm going to check UCT, total 2, total 3, total, maybe also the others chart. But since these charts are already used and have lots of levels, I'm using the stablecoins dominance chart because it's blank, right? You could obviously also start on the weekly chart. We're in a bullish environment, and now I'm gonna check the daily chart, mark my key swing low. That's this one. Until that's not broken, we are still in an uptrend locally. Until this high is not broken, we are just basically ranging between those swings or swing low and between the swing high, right? So what am I going to do? As you know, we've got these two major points of interest, and now I'm looking for a demand zone or liquidity zone where the stablecoins dominance chart could bounce, and which could potentially match with the levels mentioned on BTC, right? So I'm turning on the hidden liquidity indicator, and as you can see, we've got a nice zone right here. That's a 12-hour. Marking that. It's also refinable. There's a tiny 23-hour. Then you could obviously check, okay, there are heaps of mid-time frame levels inside as well. So that's definitely a point of interest, right? You might ask yourself why I didn't include that 12-hour right here or this zone. That's really simple because, you know, I wanna, as I mentioned, I wanna look for confluences, right? And if I measure the distances of the last daily candle on the stablecoins dominance chart, which is 3%, and then compare it to BTC's last daily candle, which is 2.8%, you will quickly notice that if the stablecoins dominance chart goes down by 9%, BTC won't go up by 20% or something similar. It will probably go up by like 8%, maybe a little bit more. It also depends on the Bitcoin dominance, but you have to measure the distances and look which zones could be confluent. Now since we've got our liquidity levels, I also want to look for demand zones. As you can see, there are so many lines on the chart, but you want to really focus, as mentioned, on the confluence zones. So I'm gonna take a look at the 5-day right here. Yeah, it's a 5-day. Let's make that green since it's a demand and not a liquidity zone. And you could obviously refine that. I'm not doing that right now. But you could obviously refine that, and then after doing that, you obviously want to check for fib confluences. So we're pulling our fib from low to high, and that matches with our 786. So once we've reached that zone, BTC will probably reach one of those zones. So we've got majors confluence. So what are we doing now? We look for our entry confirmations, which could be 4-hour candle close, closing below the level or maybe below the EQ, and then we just basically put our stop loss above the wick or just above the level, and then we can target this swing low or maybe even that major zone of interest right here. Stablecoins dominant chart, same entry confirmations. We want to see at least a 4-hour candle close above the level or above the EQ to consider a short in crypto markets. Yeah, obviously there are way more like charts that you can use to have more confidence, but I just wanted to give you an example, and yeah, that's it. Why I'm making this video is really simple. I just wanna make sure that every one of you understands the context you're trading in, right? You wanna really define the market structure, the most important swings, and then measure the distances and look for confluences, right? If you're a scalper, you will obviously use the lower time frame version of our indicator, and then it's basically the same principle, right? You also have to look for confluences and also always, yeah, get in with your entry confirmations. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you have further questions. I will answer them gladly or even make a new video, right? See you. Bye bye.